Hey, everybody. An interview I did with Extreme's Nuno Bettencourt. Can't remember the year. Maybe you guys can figure it out after taking a listen. Thanks.
So, we're going to talk about the new record and
Okay.
all that good stuff, and I've heard it, and pretty amazing.
Oh, you like it?
Yeah, very, not what I expected, to be honest. Not what I expected from Nuno Bettencourt, but really intriguing. I mean, it really took me someplace.
Cool.
Really interesting. So let's back up just a little bit, and maybe just talk a little bit about, what have you been doing recently? What have you been spending your time on? I mean, other than the album, of course. I mean, what have you been doing?
Yeah. Well, I mean, depends. It depends since when. You know what I mean? Obviously, that's. I do a lot. So.
It's an open-ended question. Okay, how about let's say since last 6 months? What have you been doing?
Oh, last 6 months, just
Yeah.
the record, really.
Last 6 months. Okay.
As far as if you go back to when I left Extreme, basically in '96, I'd just been recording and writing, and I had put a three-piece band together called Mourning Widows.
Right.
That I released a couple of records in Japan, and then up to this point, I just after that, I kind of just realized that that wasn't going very well for me as far as the other bandmates had a lot of different things they wanted to do, so I needed to really focus on what I was doing here. So it ended up becoming Population One because I just sort of threw my hands to me. I said, you know what, I'm doing it myself.
So then your first response after getting out of Extreme was to get another band, though. I mean, you liked the idea of a band.
Yeah, much more so than on my own. I mean, I always felt I liked the chemistry. I like to try to, write and jam together with the band, and it's just much more where I came from and what I love.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you can only do it for so long where you sort of you become a bit more of the babysitter than. It's just like when you're young, it's different when you're younger, anyways, because you find a lot of younger guys and everybody's on the same mission, and it always seems to be after watching Behind the Music VH1 type stuff, you'll realize that there's a shelf life for any band.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
After a while, they just start getting itchy, or things happen, or money. Well, you can call it what you will, but there seems to be a shelf life for that sort of friendship and that sort of commitment.
That's true.
And unfortunately for me, I don't know why I couldn't be like most of the other guys and get sick of what I'm doing and sort of slow down or do, you know what I mean? And I never seem to sort of lose that sort of fire that I had when I was 18, so I think it drives people crazy because I just want to kind of push and always look for better songs and always work a little bit harder,
I understand. So what happened with Mourning Widows? I mean, why didn't that work?
Well, like I said, I think it's just the other guys. They, I think it was the right guys in the band musically, and we had the right vibe. But I just felt like those guys were at a point in their lives where they started sort of, it was interesting. They were both very simultaneously. I mean, whenever we go through life and we meet, say, your wife or your girlfriend or soulmates, those things can always be pretty overwhelming, and they do happen, and they're great that they happen, but you sort of have to balance what you're doing, whatever it is, whether it's a girl, whether it's a family, whatever it is you're doing, if you lose any of that sort of intensity for the music part of it, there's too many other people out there that are a lot more intense than you that are going for it. You have to balance it. You can't just stop everything and kind of say, I'll be back.
I understand.
That's really what it was, and it wasn't really a bad thing, I still love those guys. It was just they were pretty busy into other things, it seemed to me, as far as just wants,
So, but actually, your first step after Extreme was your first solo record, right? Schizophonic. I mean,
yes.
So coming out of Extreme, it's kind of like I'm going to go in there, I'm going to do it myself, and this is what I have to say.
Well, interestingly enough, that wasn't the case. Those songs that ended up on Schizophonic, those actual performances, were all demos for a band I was going to put together.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was from the pressure. Once the record company heard it and they liked it, they said, well, why don't you just do it on your own as a solo record? And I kind of fought that for a while, and then I figured, all right, if you can do a solo record, can you please call it a project name so I can, in the meantime, get some band together? And they sort of pressured me to call it Nuno, and I never was comfortable with it, and I never wanted to do it, but I did it anyways. To sort of keep everybody happy.
What band was that music written for?
Well, at the time, there was no band. It was a band that I was going to put together.
I see.
I was on the road with Extreme writing those songs, and I had a vision of this three-piece band, almost sort of like Mourning Widows, but...
I see.
And it's funny because I had the difference from it being Nuno and not, I had this name that I had called NDE, which was Near Death Experience, but it was taken by a local band in Chicago. And
good name. Interesting. So then these weren't songs, or these weren't ideas that maybe you would have presented to Extreme then? This is
not at the time, because at the time Extreme had a real distinct way of writing, and Gary did lyrics and I did the music. And when I started, sort of introducing my lyrics and everything, things got a little bit, we were so used to the way we worked that I felt one of the reasons I got pushed into doing a bit of a solo record was I sensed a little bit of, Gary's the voice of the band. He wants to express the stuff that he does, and I understand that. But and so did I. I wanted, when you kind of write very personal lyrics, you almost want to sing them yourself and express them yourself, and I understand that.
I understand. So then, Morning Widows didn't work out. I know that you've done like various sessions and writing for different people and that kind of thing. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I did not a lot of stuff really. I mean, I've always pretty much focused on my own stuff more than anything.
I see.
But I did do some stuff. I mean, there's this track I did with this band, BB Mac, kind of a real pop band.
Right.
Recently that just came out. And
you did some with Dweezil?
Oh, yeah, Dweezil stuff was years ago, though.
A long time ago?
That was even, like, before Porn Graffiti Extreme. That was, like, 90.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
And that was a solo record that I produced for him.
I see. Interesting. So then, obviously you've been thinking about putting together another solo record, and you start putting lyric ideas together. I mean, you're now the singer, songwriter, guitar player, so you start collecting lyric ideas, you start collecting guitar ideas, chord changes. I mean, how does the idea for an album sort of begin with you?
Oh, it's always the songs really, but it's always very basic. It's kind of like mostly an acoustic guitar or an electric guitar, but just a guitar and just sing with it. And pretty much the songs are written fairly fast. It's always music and melody first, usually.
Oh, really?
And they're usually, like I was saying, they're usually pretty, pretty quick. If the songs take too long to write, I kind of stray away from using them, a little bit. So that's really how they...
So do you have like a studio at home that you kind of put ideas down in?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, this record was mostly recorded in my house anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'd say 80% of it was, yeah.
Well, what kind of gear do you have there?
It's everything I'm recording is basically on Pro Tools, and I have all my equipment, all my sort of my kit and bass guitars and amps and everything in here,
Cool. So did you? All I was sent from Japan was a little cassette, so I don't have any kind of names or anything. So if I'm asking you questions that maybe sound a little redundant, that somebody would know if they had like the whole, the label CD in front of them.
You know what? They don't even have the artwork yet. That's probably
why they don't
send it to you. I've been pretty late. It's actually going out today.
Oh, really?
So
So when I ask you questions like producers and engineers, I'm really I'm a little in the dark here as well.
That's cool.
So did you produce this?
Yeah, I produced the record along with an engineer producer from New York.
What was his name?
His name is Carl.
Carl? He just goes by Carl?
Yeah, well, I was Carl Nappa, N-A-P-P-A.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So why don't we just talk about some of the songs here, and maybe you can kind of tell me what's going on musically, and maybe talk a little bit about kind of the guitars and maybe some of that stuff that you're using on each track here. I mean, Flow, just a kind of a ballad. I mean, I guess that's kind of a love song, I would say.
Yeah, well, actually, Flow is one of the reasons I opened with Flow. I mean, there's many different reasons. It was one of the sort of a last-minute track. It was written. It was about my mother. My mother passed away.
Sorry.
In February, and
really sorry.
That's okay. I mean, she's and it was. I was very close to my mother. I mean, my mother was pretty much I'm the youngest of 10 kids in my family, so my mother kind of was the nucleus of this huge family, and she pretty much raised everybody on her own. She was a really amazing woman. So it was basically about my mom and just how I was feeling, really.
Right. Understand. So that's you playing. Is that a piano?
Yeah, it's actually a Fender Rhodes.
Fender Rhodes. Very cool sound. And then there's like some string parts on there, some little pad parts, kind of.
Yeah, just a little, just a keyboard. I use some strings. Yeah.
What kind of keyboards? What kind of synths do you use?
Oh, I basically there's one synth I used on the whole record for all the kind of like sounds that I weren't live was the well, they were live, but just they weren't a guitarist, bass, or drums.
Right.
It was a Yamaha Motif. And it's a great keyboard. I mean, I bought it right before I did the record, and it was the best thing I purchased. It's pretty amazing.
Interesting. And then there's no electric guitars on this one, is there?
On Flow?
Yeah.
No, actually there isn't. You're right. There's an acoustic.
And the acoustic. And what kind of acoustic is that, Nuno?
I was using it's a Larrabee.
Yeah. Yeah, those are great guitars.
Guitar, yeah, it's really nice.
Really nice guitars. Spaceman, electric guitars on the intro.
Yeah.
Pretty simple kind of a guitar line. And I'm going to say something here, and I know what kind of a guitar player you are. I know what kind of technique and what you're capable of playing. It almost sounds, and I could be absolutely wrong here, but it almost sounds as if you have to play this kind of music, to play what, let's just call it modern music. You're out there with the Goo Goo Dolls and everybody else, kind of the MTV stuff. It almost sounds as if you have to pull your technique back a little bit.
I don't know. Not really. I mean, if you look, even in the extreme stuff, even though whatever I'm capable of doing, I mean, there was always songs with extreme stuff that I kind of let loose, but there was also stuff that was pretty very basic. I mean, even some of the hits that people know about more than words. I mean, that isn't brain surgery,
That's true.
It's pretty basic, and it's just first position chords, and a lot of the stuff that I did rhythmically. Like that, there was a lot. I think people always kind of like paid attention to a lot of the craziness and really missed the fact that I did play a lot of simple stuff.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really when I do this stuff, I don't really think about even in the schizophrenic stuff. I mean, that was like 6-7 years ago, and there was a lot of simple stuff on there.
That's true.
And the thing is I don't really think about. I know, like, even when I listen to a record, like, you will listen to this record, and I will listen to somebody else's record, whether it's Radiohead or whatever, and I will try to sort of analyze it and think about, you always try to think, well, where this guy's head's at, and what is he thinking? And the truth is, I never really think about what's happening now, or I never really think about anything. I mean, if you go through the record, if I was really thinking about what I was doing, I'd probably be in a mental hospital.
Yeah,
because
right.
The shit's all over the place.
Right.
From Spaceman to, like, a song like Stiff, or... I mean, it's pretty out of control, so I just take it day by day. If you pick up a guitar and you play that Stiff, I mean, you play Spaceman, well, there it is. It felt right. I record it. Some days you do a crazy drum groove, and that dictates how crazy the guitar might be. So different things, that song was just done really quickly and basic, and it felt nice, and it felt good, and I just went with it.
Interesting. Did you kind of have a basic, kind of your basic guitar, electric guitar amp setup that you kind of used for most of the tracks? I mean, was there kind of a basic thing, or was it kind of different guitars for each track, different electrics and things?
Yeah, I used mostly through the whole record was this 62 Strat that I have.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I kind of got sort of hooked on it, and because of the sounds that I needed for this record, it's like I let the songs basically choose what the guitar would have been, And other than that, I used, my N4 that I usually use on some stuff. But most of the rhythm stuff was this 62 Strat through an old, a Fender Bandmaster head.
Really?
And then for the other stuff, anything that was needed a bit more distortion, I would use the Hughes and Kettner with my, or actually the Marshall JCM 800 with my N4,
Interesting, because in fact the solo on Spaceman has kind of that real stringy, which I wrote Strat sound here, and I thought, wow, is he getting that sound out of his Washburns? So that is the Strat, that solo there.
Yeah, definitely. Very,
yeah.
Very Stevie Ray Vaughan-ish.
Very Stevie Ray. A little bit of Jeff Beck in there. I kind of heard a little bit of stuff at the end there. Very cool. High acoustic guitar, and then the kind of the big electrics come in. Is that the Washburn, the
Yeah, I would say that high is more or less it was my N4, the old N4 that I have, the original one, and with the Hughes and Kettner head.
Yeah. Right. What is that sound? And I'm just reading my notes here. What is the sound that comes in after the first verse? It's some cool little sound. some little effect thing. Am I making any sense
I'm
here?
sorry, after the...
Maybe after the first
Oh,
verse.
that's actually the Fender Rhodes through like a wah-wah.
Oh, I
That's what
see.
it is. It's just playing, playing the riff there, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool. Iron Jaw. Cool. Ballad, acoustics and kind of electrics.
Yeah, well, Iron Jaw's an interesting track. It's not... It's weird. I never looked at it as a ballad, or I never looked at it as a fast song. It's kind of somewhere in the middle where it's a bit funky, but it's...
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's got a bit of a flavor vocally from the ballad, but then again, the music is kind of up in a sense. You know, it still kind of grooves, and it's not... I don't never really looked at it as like this really sort of droney ballad type thing. It's just kind of a light song, but it's a light sort of funky tune to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's mostly written, you know, it's acoustic, it's got some sort of a little bit of electric, it's got a little bit of everything in that song. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, cool. And the solo is kind of this, again, kind of a very kind of a loose, you know, for want of a better word, kind of a loose, kind of a solo. I mean, it's, you know, as if you just kind of, that was like a first take kind of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, most of the solos that I played, yeah, it's just a basic little kind of, it's actually that's on an acoustic going through a...
Oh, is it really?
Through an amp, through a Marshall.
Oh.
So
That's great.
But, yeah, I mean, most of the solos are all improv. Like, a lot of times I used to write a lot of melodies and write some of the solos and do a lot of melodic stuff, but all this stuff was just like 2 or 3 takes, and then I would just kind of comp the best stuff. They're all pretty much improvised. That's why when I did a lot of the stuff for the Japanese mags, they wanted me to sort of, hey, can you play this song? I couldn't remember any of them.
Yeah.
I'd have to learn them again. I don't know any of them.
Right. Unhappy Birthday is kind of the funky side of Nuno Bettencourt.
Yeah, it's pretty funky. It's, you know.
Yeah.
I think I might have to send a little bit of the poaching to Prince on that one. I'm feeling his falsetto, but then again, he took it from everybody else. No, it's like, yeah, that's the definite, like, sort of, you know, hip-hop, funkier tune for me, and that I've always loved, but, you know.
Where do those influences come from? I mean, Prince and,
yeah,
I mean...
a lot of the funk stuff came from, like, even the rock bands I used to listen to. I used to love all the funkier sides. I mean, Zeppelin had a funkier side at times. Aerosmith had a funky side. Prince I loved. But I also loved a lot of the traditional funk stuff, whether it was Parliament.
Parliament, yeah.
Or, you know,
Commodores.
Family Stone, all that stuff. So it's all kind of thrown in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I did pay homage to Prince at the end of the song. I don't know if you caught that.
No, I didn't. What did I miss?
It's really at the low fade. If you turn it up towards the fade, you'll definitely hear a little bit of Kiss on there. From kind of made sure I paid a little homage to it. You know.
Just to split this up right here, you moved to this country when you were how old?
4.
Oh, you were 4. So then you probably, excuse me. The music you heard back there was, you probably don't remember much of any of it then.
Heard what, in Portugal?
Yeah,
actually, it was a big part of it, because even though I was 4, whatever music was happening back then, because of I have such older brothers. That music, I grew up on that music, even if it was 5 years later. You know, the Beatles, all that stuff that was happening then was the biggest part of me. My biggest influence ever is the Beatles.
Really?
Oh, definitely, without a doubt. And that's my sort of, those are my gods right there.
Oh, interesting.
Songwriting, you know, guitar playing is another story. I mean, it's kind of a blend. But my goal as a songwriter has always been to try to combine, you know, that sort of pop sensibility of the Beatles, sort of blended with all the other stuff that I'm really influenced by, what's a bit more progressive or a bit crazier, or, you know, sort of a bit more rock. And I was always somewhere between, like, Beatles and Rage Against the Machine, you know.
Right.
I always try to sort of keep somewhere in the middle. That's a big wide spectrum, but that's basically where I was at all the time.
Interesting. And it's your cousin. Your cousin plays on this record.
Well, in Mourning Widows, it was my nephew that played bass.
Donovan.
He's only on a few tracks. There's a couple of tracks left over from Mourning Widows, but he's only on a couple of tracks.
I see. So then you're playing bass and all the drums on this album as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did everything on the record.
And who's going to go out? I'm assuming you're going to go out live with this. Who would be in the touring band?
I'll tell you what, if I could do it on my own, I would, but I can't. But,
you've reached that point, huh?
Yeah, no, but I'm actually still very excited to play musicians live and do some different variations of the stuff. I mean, I'm just kind of fooling, but I don't know. I don't have a band together yet. I'm literally in the process here in LA of auditioning musicians.
Interesting. I can tell just from talking to you that you're obviously a pretty strong personality that musically you really understand really what you want to do, and when you say you wish you could do it yourself, that's really not a tongue-in-cheek response. I mean,
no, you know what? It's like I love playing with musicians. You know, the thing about there's music and then there's people. You know, and it's tough to find musicians that are on the same page. A lot easier than finding people mentally that are on the same page as you. And it's not that I'm like sort of looking as a condescending thing to other people, but
I understand.
when you're sort of an intense musician and you have a really distinct vision of what you like and what you want, and then you find people that really do what you love and what you want, and they're kind of into what you do, it seems to find the match as far as the mental part of that they're just as intense mentally and have the goals to just than literally to just do it musically, you know.
I understand.
Just go all the way, you know.
I understand what you're saying. I understand. And Extreme did that for you? I mean, it fed all of that in you for that period?
You know, it did. It did most of the time. I think all of us, got a little bit, I don't want to say lazy, I don't want to make it sound like a bad thing, but I think we all got distracted, let's just say.
Yeah.
With different things, and I think some of the hunger goes away, but that's very natural, I think.
Sure. Interesting. Let's see. If Only is pretty dark.
It's pretty dark, but it's very sort of poppy kind of pop song, though. Mm-hmm. Even though, but it's very light. It's basically, you know what? It's the basic relationship thing. I think everybody deals with. You know, in the beginning when people meet, everybody's in love and everybody's sort of is on their best behavior, and they say all the right things, and they do all the right things, and then once you kind of get used to each other, you get a little bit lazy with it, and and it's kind of like, I think if everybody always went back a little bit and sort of remembered what things were like in the beginning, I think they'd always, enforce themselves to say, well, that's how we should behave with each other, and I think things would be a lot better for everyone.
Absolutely. So, in your mind, I mean, can you look back at your past records and the Mourning Widow stuff and maybe your first solo record, that kind of thing, and see that you've become a better singer, become a better writer, an arranger?
I'll tell you what. I mean, the singing part is a big thing because I was never, ever a big fan of my voice, really. I love to sing because I love to express my thoughts, and I love to just sing. I love doing it, and I know I can sing, but my voice, the sound of my voice, I've never been a big fan of. And in the schizo stuff, and I think in some of the Mourning Widow stuff, I always kind of like tucked it. I never liked to feature it. It was there, but it wasn't there. And this record, I'm actually, for the first time, really comfortable with my voice, and I really made an attempt to really focus and do the best vocal record I could ever do. And I'm actually very proud of it, which is very odd for me to say. I've always been kind of like, shunned away from the vocal part of it.
Right. So then, is a vocal for you? Using Pro Tools, is it kind of running through a song and then going back and replacing parts? And I mean, are you pretty critical of what goes on tape, and does it take you a while to get
all the stuff that I do, I try not to use Pro Tools as a dehumanizing sort of thing. I never really move a lot of stuff or try to correct a lot of stuff because, anyways, as a player, I'm pretty much of a perfectionist. Anyways, I mean, when I play, I've always been a very percussive kind of precise player in any instrument I play. So there's not a lot of movement on my, like where it's really bad, where I got to move stuff around.
Right.
And so I try not to do too much of that because I think I already come across a little bit like that, a little bit like on, pretty tight and pretty. I love just really locking in with rhythm sections and things like that because a lot of stuff we did in the funk element always seemed to work that way. So I guess. With the vocals, I just do like 3 or 4 takes and try to keep it vibey, so it's not a lot of punching in, and I just kind of comp the tracks, and so that way they all kind of stay live, and even though you're comping them, then you're not like fixing everything all the time.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely got that sense of that. And musically, I mean, the tracks themselves are actually pretty simple in terms of amounts of guitars and overdubs and things. I mean, it's pretty kind of a sparse record. I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's not a very overproduced record. Times there is stuff going on, but I like the sparseness of, I've always liked sparse records. I don't like a lot of production.
Right. Ordinary Day. I got sort of a Red Hot Chili Peppers vibe off that one. I don't know if that's
and it's interesting that would become that because to me that's such an old sound for me, like from my younger days, whether it was just like stuff from the late '60s that my brothers listened to, or early '70s, It's just like a very, or even if I would compare it to anything in the modern day for me, influence-wise, it would be like more of a Radiohead influence.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But that's the cool thing. Look, you know what? You play something as simple as that. It's just literally a strat, the vocal, and it, you know, anybody can listen to it. Go, yeah, that reminds me of Chili Peppers. Or that reminds me of, people have said Radiohead. People have said, you know, just anything really basic, or even PJ Harvey, even though it doesn't sound like
yeah.
you know?
Right.
So it's because I think of how raw it is that it gives that, opens up all those things. But all the bands that people mentioned are bands that I'm influenced by. I mean, so it could be part Chili Peppers, part Radiohead. I didn't attempt to do it that way.
Yeah, no.
It's definitely it's there.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's there.
yeah, absolutely.
Even Nirvana to me. I mean,
yeah, right, exactly.
But,
exactly. Yeah, we just bring to it what
yeah,
our
sure.
sensibility is. So my
or even
sensibility is
or even what you guys might like. You know, well, I love Chili Peppers, and it reminds me a bit of that. So whatever.
exactly.
And but that song that to me is my favorite song, one of my favorite tracks on the record.
Really?
Especially vocally.
Wow, that's
It's
interesting.
my favorite vocal performance, and as far as you always try to get songs where, you know, the emotion that you originally wrote about is captured, and that's a really important song because it was written on the morning of 9/11, September 11th.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
After it happened?
No, while it was happening.
While it was happening.
Yeah.
Oh, an ordinary day. Oh, I got it.
Yeah,
Oh.
of course. I don't try to. It's become kind of trendy to have like a 9/11 song these days.
Right.
So I didn't. Originally, it was called 9/11. Because what happened, the song was just based on, you know, waking up that morning, kind of looking at it on television and just in disbelief, and I you know, by early afternoon, after having seen what I've seen for, you know, over and over and watching what everybody else has watched, the guitar was in the living room and I picked up the acoustic and I wrote that song straight away, like in about 5-10 minutes. It was done. I put it on the micro cassette. I put it away, and when I came to this track, I listened to it, and I just wanted to keep it as raw as it was, and it was really trying to capture vocally what I was feeling that day. And it was basically, the lyrics just basically spell it out, you know. It's just feeling very helpless about what you were watching, and kind of the disbelief about it, and you know, not being able to help these people and feeling really bad, and all those sort of things. And the only thing I did in the artwork a little bit on the lyric page is I subliminally put this little 9/11 that's very hard to see. It's almost invisible on the artwork, just as, you know, because I kind of want to say, you know, to the people that anybody experienced, you almost want to, you know, share that with them. But at the same time, you don't want to be pompous and overstep to the point of like, you know, saying that, you know, because it's almost like, how dare I even kind of sort of offer that, because I wasn't there, you know, I didn't go through all that. I just went through it as a bystander and at home watching it on television.
Interesting. And, I mean, it's a very short song, right? I mean, it's a...
Yeah, it was just that little sort of story, and that's what it was. And
yeah, interesting. Rescue Me, very cool lick. Kind of builds to kind of that big Nuno sound.
Yeah, it's a bit of a sort of punky sort of tune. The chorus is heavy, but it's still kind of, it's very all over the place. It's almost, I don't even know how to describe that track, other than it's a heavy track to me, but it isn't a heavy track. You know?
Right. Is that a nylon string on there, Nuno?
Oh, you mean the left turn at Albuquerque there, the solo?
Yeah.
Yeah, the solo is definitely full-blown flamenco Spanish craziness that I just decided to do. I don't know why, but it just felt right.
What kind of guitar is that?
You know what? I don't even know the brand of it. It was a guitar that I had that my father had given me, and I don't even think it had a name on it.
Oh, really?
It was from a little music store, and I've always liked the sound of it. And you know what? I think it even might have been a Hagstrom. It might have been a Hagstrom.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think the name was worn off, and I might have seen it like a Hagstrom.
Yeah. So then your approach to electric guitar is really an acoustic-based kind of style. I mean, it's a very rhythmic kind of a thing that you do in your solos, and your tracks just have, like, you know, an acoustic feel, but they're done on electrics. I mean, is that kind of a valid thing?
I think because songwriting, I think I've always had this theory that if you can pick up an acoustic and still play even a heavy tune or anything, and it still has the vibe of an acoustic, then it's only going to go further on the electric.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah. QPD.
Yeah, that's actually abbreviated for Quiet Peaceful Day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I called it that because had Ordinary Day right around, and I was like, you know what? I just felt it's a long title. It was a long title, and I say it throughout the song anyway, so I figured somebody might figure it out eventually.
Okay. And you'd mentioned stiff before. Kind of, those are Hammond sounds in there? Or they sound like organ sounds, the keyboards?
Stiff. Oh, no, yeah, that's a pipe organ. It's the motif, but it's a pipe organ
I see.
sample.
And a very cool drum track. So you program all the drum tracks yourself? And
No, I mean, I played all the drum tracks pretty much.
Oh, really? You're playing live drums? I mean,
yeah.
on a like an electronic kit?
No, what I did is that is mixed live drums with a bit of programming, so it's a combination.
Oh, I see. So wow. So did the drums come? I mean,
the drums. First of all, just so you know, drums are my first instrument. I played drums for years.
Oh, really?
So that kind of helped me. That's why I was also really affected my style guitar-wise. It was a big influence on how much I
I see where the other rhythm stuff comes from. Yeah. Oh, right. Very cool. Dedication Breakup, another piano.
That's the Rhodes again.
The Rhodes.
Yeah, almost like a Wurlitzer Rhodes sound.
Yeah. Are you a fan of that sound, that style?
How could you tell? Yeah, no, I love all the stuff I grew up on in the '70s and stuff like that. I love that.
Yeah.
I love those sounds. A lot of synth sounds and Moog sounds and things like that. Very into that.
Yeah. So, like I sung on Dedication Breakup, is it that you say the music comes first, so do you say to yourself, well, this sounds like a keyboard song? Or I've got it on guitar, let me try the keyboard, and the
most
piano
of the keyboard stuff, if there is an actual piano in it, like Flow, for instance, that's all keyboard, so that was definitely written on a keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
I would think. And but most of the time is I'll do it on acoustic, and then I'll try to add a keyboard to it if it needs it, really.
I see. I see. And Sick Punk is keys and the big sound, the big guitar sound?
Yes, I mean Sick Punk is mostly just a lot of synth, bass sounds, and those are all loops mostly. There's really not a lot of live drums in there.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, on that one, so.
I see. So, at the end of the day, when you sit back and you listen to this, do you say to yourself, yeah, that's what I heard, that's the ideas that I had, and it came out, and I got it, or I was close, or...
No, you know what? Look, if you're at a point where I think you get 70% of your vision across that you really imagined, it's really hard to match that. You're okay. And with this record, for a change, I think I almost hit it. Almost like I'd say 99.9% there. I'm really excited about it. It's very difficult to do that for me, anyways. I'm pretty critical about it, but I think these songs really came across with the way I envisioned them in the first place.
Interesting. So, in a perfect world, you would go out and tour with this and put a band together and.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, I'm shopping a deal. I don't have a deal here in the States. I'm in the process of doing that, and basically sort of. Started from scratch and cleaned house and all the way around from record companies to managers and everything. And I just want to basically start fresh with this, So.
The whole I mean, I hate to use the term, but the whole Guitar Hero thing. I mean, at this point, do you think it both helps and maybe gets in the way of what you try to do, in a way?
I don't know that it matters, because I no matter what you are as a guitar player, or no matter what you do as far as getting in the way of having any success, I don't think it was ever based on my being a possible guitar hero at the time or anything. The bottom line is if you write great songs, people listen to your guitar playing, then they decide are you that type of player or not. But I think it's always been the songs. I mean, the reason Extreme, let's not be stupid, the reason Extreme had the most success they had was because of the songs. Whether it was More Than Words or Wholehearted, and then people can dip into the other stuff. I mean, hardcore fans will listen to the guitar first or things like that, and that's great. But really, anybody who's been a fan of Extreme or mine knows that I've always talked about the songs first, and the solos come second, and they should complement the song. They shouldn't be anything to do with just playing for the sake of playing.
Right, I
understand. Part of the Olympics,
Yeah, right, I understand. So, I mean, you mentioned bands like Radiohead and we touched on the Peppers. I mean, do you think that the company that you're in out there, the other bands out there, the other kinds of writers and songwriters. I mean, do you think it's a fertile ground out there? I mean, do you think there's a lot of talent out there, or
You know what? There was a time there where I didn't think there was a lot going on, but I'm always sort of saved for me as a fan, because I'm still a fan, and I need new music to survive. You know, I love listening to new bands. And getting inspired and things like that. And there's always been like 2 or 3 bands out of all like the hundreds that are out there, to me, that are always those special bands. You know, like through the 90s for me it was like, you know, obviously Nirvana, Stone Temple Pilots, and Radiohead and Rage Against the Machine. Those are like my top 4, I think, that I survived the 90s with. You know what I mean? That
Interesting.
Out of all the other bands you hear that you think have good songs here and there, or might have a good record, a couple tracks, those bands, to me, you listen to the whole record, and those you invest in as a fan, you know, because the full records mean something, you know.
Right. I understand. So what about more of a songwriter type, you know, Dave Matthews or, I mean, Sting? I mean, does that stuff do anything for you?
You know what? I am. It's interesting. Of course, those guys are out there, and they still do great stuff. But as far as really affecting me in my life and on a daily basis, and it doesn't leave my car, I listen to that stuff. Like I don't want to think that I'm not listening to anything else, like the Stings and there's other bands out there. Whether it's, you know, even right now, you know, there's a lot of great bands. You know, heavier bands, or even System of the Down, and I love that, the Drive in that record. I was, you know, there's tons of bands out there that I like. It's just on a record-to-record basis, you know, as it was like in the, you know, when you listen to bands in the 70s and they had these careers that were like span 10, 15 years, and they never sort of let you down. The 4 bands that I mentioned, to me, I love Dave Matthews, but it's like I could never get into all of it. I always liked some of it.
I understand.
And I respect it and like that, but it didn't like inspire me to write or inspire me to sort of like, you know, I don't know, just sort of continue what I'm doing, you know, the stuff that keeps you going. And it's all good stuff. There's tons of good stuff. And then, having said that, what the fuck do I know, really, you know? I'm just a fan like anybody else, you know. I listen to stuff I like. And
you're right, but you've been a professional musician. I mean, you've been in the
but that
business.
doesn't matter, because really, the only reason you sell records is because people like your music. It doesn't matter if you're a fucking dentist, or if you work in a funeral home, or if you're a musician.
That's true.
You know, if the pizza guy comes in the studio while I'm here and he says, "Hey, I like that, what that does, but I don't like that," I could listen to what he says. I could say, "You're not a professional. What the fuck do you know?" But at the same time, he's the one that's going to go back in his car and either listen to the record and like it or not. So you should take into consideration what anybody says, you know, because they're the fans. You know?
That's true. That's true. I mean, it's interesting about the bands that you mentioned, in as much as while they're not my favorite bands, I can recognize.
I didn't put the Chili Peppers in there, which I should have.
No, that's fine. Even the Chili Peppers is another perfect example of that. I mean, again, they're not one of my favorite bands, but I can understand why you would choose those bands. One, the writing is great, and 2, as players, I mean, these guys are really good. I guess part of the thing that bothers me is that it's a little tough for me to listen to some of these bands now that the playing is really so mediocre, and a song could be so amazing. I think,
yeah, but
wow.
Sometimes you got to remember, though, like say with Radiohead, for instance. I don't think they're great players, but I think what you have to remember is some of the limitations. Like you listen to P.J. Harvey, for instance, which I love, but her limitations as a player are the key to why they do what they do.
You're absolutely right.
You got to be careful, because sometimes when guys can play their asses off, they do too much and they don't know the simplicity of just a simple song. So a lot of the stuff of the bands that I like, whether it was the Beatles or anything like that, it was the simplicity and the limitations of their playing that gave us those great songs. Because if it can be simple and powerful, then you've done it. Doing something complicated is a lot easier it tries to sound more impressive than being able to do something very simple. And you know, it works with both ways. If you try to do something complex and still keep it interesting, then you've done it. If you do something simple and keep it interesting, then you've done it. But there's a lot of complex stuff that's just like, shut up already, you know?
Right.
Saying nothing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of simple stuff that thinks they're saying something that they're still saying nothing.
I hear you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to go band by band and say, is this good for this band? Yes, I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, I suppose you're right.
Play is messy, and no, you know what? That's what works for this band. Some guys will write on, and they play right on stuff, and that's what they do. They're right on, and that works for them. You know.
Right.
So you got to sort of take it. I never try to really go in and analyze a band and say, you know what? I love this, but I wish they could have played that track better, because I know that it's messy. I know that the vocal's out of tune or whatever it is. But you know what? I think that's why I love it. I think that's why it works.
Yeah, I can see that, and I can see why people would pick up on that. You know, I guess part of me gets to be a little snobbish, you know, and I really try not to do that. And I try to divorce myself
Yeah, I know
from
what you
that.
think, because I do
You
it
know
too.
what I
Look,
mean?
I'm a musician too, so I do that too. But I've learned through the years to appreciate that even the bands that I'm influenced by, the Led Zeppelins of the world, I go back and listen to that shit, and it's not as right on as I think it is. At times it's very sloppy, it's very out of tune, it's the drummer's pushing, whatever it is, and I realize, holy shit, that's the beauty of it. That's why. It was the imperfections that I was missing. I was too busy trying to fucking be right on, you know? It's not the way it should be.
And I think that you'd maybe like people to bring sort of that kind of mentality to your records. And
yeah, I mean, there are times, it's a combination of things. There are times where I know I've become a bit more of like a precise player, and I play decently enough to like not be sloppy, but I've been, by kind of counteracting that, I've been trying to be as much of an improviser or as live as I can, so that way there is a bit of looseness. I don't sit there and try to correct everything all the time, you know, because then that would be just too crazy,
yeah.
You know.
So what will you be doing? I mean, in the days to come. I mean, what does a guitar player do when a record is done?
Oh man, you know, and then the work begins. You know, it's like you really want to share it with everyone. And how do you share it with everyone? Well, by getting it out there. And you have to, you know, I'm in the process of finding new management, new label. I just want to get it to the fans. You know, I don't want to get it to new people. I don't want it to just the fans that I have. I just want to get it out there. And you know, whenever you have something you're excited about, you want to share it with everyone. It's not a matter of success or fame or all that stuff. Even though, you know, you enjoy those things. If you make money or you sell records for what you love that you did, then it feels real and it feels great. You know, I'm not going to tell you I don't enjoy making money on what I do, but I love making money on something that I put a lot of love and care and sort of, you know, just, you know, a lot of myself into, and that makes it exciting. There's nothing worse than doing something you don't love and you make a lot of money, then so what? Okay, you have the money, but you don't feel like you've done anything that you're proud of, you know?
I understand that.
So I just want to get out there and tour and play and get out there.
Last question. What is Population One?
What is it?
Yeah, I mean, I understand it's the title. I mean, is there anything that...
Well, you know what? It's actually not the title. It's the name of the project.
Oh!
See, Japan is doing this where they always kind of like, this is Nuno Bettencourt's new record. They always call it Nuno Bettencourt's record. But Population One is my new project. It's going to be the band. It's going to be, you know, it's going to be the thing. It's kind of like another name for my solo project.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm glad I cleared that up. Yeah, well, it does say Nuno Bettencourt Population One. I mean, I thought it was an album title.
Well, no, the Japanese always do that. Even when it was Morning Widows and that was my band, they'd still say Nuno Bettencourt Morning Widows.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I think they do that so anybody who likes, you know, stuff in Japan will still know what it is. 'Cause I'm changing every other day, you know.
Why are you so huge in Japan?
I'm not huge in Japan.
Oh, you're pretty big.
I don't think so.
Yeah, you are.
You know what do you mean by pretty big? By sales or by what though? Because you have to remember, I'm not selling platinum records. I'm going practically gold. So
really?
I still have a lot of room to grow there, I think. I think from a guitar spectrum, maybe.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
But I never really judge it that way. You know?
I mean, I know that you're in all the magazines, and you know they were really excited about the story, and they want to do a long story, and you know
Don't be fooled by that. You know, I think a lot of these guys would love for a second if I put out a record that had no vocals, and then I was wailing through the whole thing. To be honest with you. And I've always said to them, even in Guitar Magazine, I said, look, you know what? There's a ton of people doing that already. I think I'm actually a lot more important to these guitar player kids and people upcoming, because at least I can you know, say to them, look, you know what? Be a songwriter also. There's a ton of other guys teaching them to be guitar players. Don't forget the songs, don't forget the melody, which I think is very, you know, I think I have a bit of an important job in the guitar world, because you know, there's not a lot of people doing that and talking about that and making sure that that's important for them to learn that.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I mean, I know tons of, you know, my guitar buddies, and man, I just want to play faster, and I get, man,
you know, and big deal.
Write a chorus.
But big deal, though. It's like you could still do that, but how fun would it be to have it all, you know? Just write some great songs, still be able to wail if the song needs it, and it's just that everybody's done that, and and you can still do it if you really enjoy it, then do it. If you have something new to offer or whatever, or just do it, whatever you do, as long as you're doing it, not to be in an Olympics to outdo somebody else.
Right.
You got to do what you love to do. That's the important thing.
Right. Well, I appreciate your honesty. Okay. I mean, I really do. I appreciate your time, and I think the record's fucking great. you know, I wish you the best of luck.
Well,
And
thanks, man. I'm glad you like it.
I'll write you a good big story, and
Okay.
hopefully you'll
Yeah,
get a
throw some
manager.
lies in there and tell them how great I am, will you?
What's that?
I said throw some lies in there and tell them how great I am.
Well, it'll all be lies, but no, I'm kidding. No, man, I appreciate your time very much, and I do have a lot of respect for what you do and been a fan for a long time. And
Cool, man.
I remember in fact, I remember Grover Jackson, right?
Yeah.
Back, he said, man, you got to hear this guy Nuno. You know, I was kind of when I was a lunatic back in the day, you know. This guy Nuno, I go, yeah. And anyway, man, you were cool. I mean, I'm not that you aren't cool, but
No, I know what you're saying. Look,
you know what I'm saying?
You know what? That period, whatever period I had to do what I do, I still try to do a bit of that. And even back in those records, you know, there was a lot more guitar playing, but there was still always songs, you know.
Right.
You know,
Right.
It's just who knows, you know. That's what it was, and this is what it is.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully there's somewhere out here that, you know, all that comes and meets again, and there's, you know, some really great playing and really great songs, and people respect all that stuff again.
All right, bro.
All right, man.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Nuno.
You take care.
Bye.
Bye.